Hello, everybody. So, how are you today? Sounded cheesy, right? Anyhow, I wanted to take a few minutes while I'm hiding out in the van while the kids are watching TV and Sean is putting together an early Christmas present to update you on our adoption journey. Some of you have really been following that. It's been a little while. We have not updated on it much in a while for several reasons. So, really quick recap for those of you who are new or just unsure or have forgotten. My husband Sean and I have 7 biological children together. They range in ages from 16 down to 2. We are very happy with our family, but we do feel that we have room for more, considering the fact that we also bought a 9-bedroom, 9-bathroom house. And we have a 12-passenger van, which is what I'm hiding in right now. For over 10 years, I have been receiving the Rainbow Kids emails. If you're unfamiliar with Rainbow Kids, it is an amazing website that advocates for the adoption of children with special needs. But that does not necessarily mean what you think. Special needs can actually be any child over the age of 3 or sibling groups. Both of those qualify a child as special needs. Yes, it can also mean the whole spectrum of needs as well. So there's a lot of things on there. You can narrow your search down by specific needs and by country. Anyhow, there was a child back in February who was listed in the US that really caught our attention because they were specifically looking for a stay-at-home mom who could homeschool. Well, that's perfect. I stay home because I homeschool all of our children. She had some of the same allergies as some of our kids, so it all seemed like a great fit. Now, that being said, once we got through the home study process, which was a process in itself, because the agency this child was listed through is not in our state. So we couldn't go through them to do our home study. We had to do it through another agency, but they did not want it to be just anybody. We had contacted a gal who is an independent social worker that just does home studies. She is licensed by the state of South Dakota. However, nobody knows who she is in the big game, I guess. So we ended up contracting through Bethany Christian Services to do our home study and facilitate things on this end. That being said, in the long run, once we got the full file, things did not work out with that child. It was a very heartbreaking situation. We wish there was something else we could do, but for the safety of our current children, we had to end up stepping away. But we were already in the process. Thousands of dollars invested in the home study and to get where we are in the process. So we wanted to continue moving forward, but we ran into a couple snags. Because we were going to be going through that other agency, we never signed the contracts with Bethany. They simply did our home study and they were here and ready to do our post-adoptive placement visits, which is a whole other thing, costs a different amount of money. And since we were not under contract, while we had an active home study, we were not actually able to move forward with any adoptions. So we had to take a step back and evaluate not just our priorities, but some of the stuff we wanted to do. Because to sign the contract with Bethany so that we could continue to move forward meant paying another $3,000 up front. Then there is more money that will come due, come placement and everything else. That's a lot of money, especially given the fact that 4 months ago we bought a house. A month into that, we found out that the kitchen was completely infested with mold. We had to rip all that out. Everything we had to go back into the house that we hadn't planned for. We didn't even get to put in the fence in the backyard that we had anticipated putting in this fall because it went into the kitchen. So fast forward, things started falling together. The kitchen started coming together. We were able to finally take a breath, look at our accounts, figure out what was left over after the kitchen disaster. We had just enough to pay Bethany's fee. So we are officially with Bethany Christian Services now. And we've been able to start inquiring on children and some of that stuff. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit farther again. We did have another opportunity this summer before signing the contracts with Bethany. There was another child we had inquired on that was through a different agency, so we could have proceeded in the original way we had anticipated with the first child. And again, it seemed like a perfect fit. And I will say, even to this day, it seems like it would have been a perfect fit. However, I have done a previous video talking about disrupted and dissolved adoptions. And I know it's something that a lot of people don't even understand that they happen. And those who do don't understand, or it upsets a lot of people. And some of it, yes, rightfully so. But like I've said before, there are circumstances that do call for it. Unfortunately, it happens. Because those circumstances exist, they have to allow it as a whole. So there are dissolved and disrupted adoptions. But that's neither here nor there. This was another dissolved adoption. And this child, I can't give info because it's not mine to give. So I have to be really careful what I say here. So I'm sorry if I seem like I'm stumbling. Anyhow, the family does get to choose who gets to adopt this child because they are the rightful legal guardians, and they did not choose us. Not only did they not choose us, the reply that we got, because we actually inquired twice. We inquired the first time, and we were told that nope, they wanted him to be the youngest child in the family. So it sounded like the director was not even going to pass it along to the family to review. We waited. A couple months later, he was still actively listed. Having read his file, we knew that he had been thriving in a situation where he was not the youngest. In fact, he was living with as many children as we have. So that said, sorry, I'm watching Sean as he's walking around. It's really heartbreaking, guys. The family, when we inquired the second time, they did send our profile letter to the family. They reviewed it, and the response was, in absolutely no circumstances will they consider our family. We don't know why. We are fully qualified. We have the space. We were prepared, but they have their reasons for rejecting us. And we were told by the agency that it did not seem that they were going to be able to help this family. And we saw that shortly after all of this transpired, his listing was removed. He was not placed, did not find a new home for him. And that will forever break my heart a little bit. But that family has their reasons. I have to trust that their reasons are good. They're just not mine to know. And that's all I can do about it. So for anybody who feels upset on our behalf, just have faith that whatever is meant to be, will be. Anyhow, so going forward, that's when we decided, okay, we need to go ahead, contract with Bethany. We have started inquiring on other children, and now we're in the waiting game. We are waiting to hear back from caseworkers. There are 2 sibling group sets that we have inquired on actively. There were 2 other children we had inquired on, one of which we received information that showed that it would not be a good fit with our family. The other one, there really was a lack of information, and then some other stuff came up that we decided to step away from that file before we even had the file, honestly. And so now we're just waiting to hear back from the social workers who have these other ones, and I have no idea. I really have no idea how long it's going to take after that. Our profile has been sent, or is supposed to have been sent, to the caseworkers within the state of South Dakota as well. So we could get a call in the next week, in the next month. It's hard to say. And then it just depends how long it takes to transition. And every state is different. If it ends up being a child or sibling group in our state, we could be talking days, weeks, month at the most. We may have to travel to visit a time or two. It may be a situation where they just move them. Everything has its own reasoning for the way it happens. If it's out of state, we have to go through the interstate compact, which is a legal process to transfer a child from one state to another. And that, as anybody who's ever been down that road before knows, it can take anywhere from hours to months. And you heard that right. Our caseworker with Bethany has a sibling in another state that does some work with that. And she said she can get it processed in her state in hours to cross state lines, primarily children working out of facilities. But then she said she's also working with a case out of Texas right now that they're 2 or 3 months in trying to get this interstate compact done. But within the state, it can also vary by the county and the social worker. And there's so many factors, so much paperwork. Anyhow, that is where we are at. We just, at this point, have to have faith that whatever child is supposed to come to us, that their state is willing to help cover the cost. There's usually an amount that every state will pay towards an adoption. If it's within state, it covers the lawyer's fees and things like that. If it's across state lines, they will pay that amount to Bethany, which should cover, hopefully, most, if not all, of the placement fees, which is $2,500 by itself, not counting the post-placement fees, which is another $2,800. So you guys see how easily this adds up. And what's really sad, in my opinion, and I'm just going to put this out here once, is that these are children coming from foster care. And there's such a need for it. It's so expensive. I know that Bethany needs to make their money, pay their employees and all of that. And I understand that. But it really does prohibit a lot of people from proceeding, especially considering we're not looking at adopting the easiest kids to adopt. We're not looking for infants or, the healthiest child, which, we're not going to complain. But we're actually looking at only children who are 4 years and older, and we're open to certain needs and things like that. So anyhow, I'm going to quit rambling now. I figured it was past due for an adoption update and to let you guys know that there's going to hopefully be more coming very soon. As we know things, I'm going to share it because this is a really exciting journey and I'm excited to bring everybody along with us. And who knows, maybe this will inspire somebody else to take that leap of faith and step out of their comfort zone. None of this is comfortable. None of this is coming easily or naturally. It is something we have to take the time to consciously take that effort, leap of faith, a lot of prayer. Guys, I'm not going to fault anybody. We are Christians. We do pray and we do feel led to certain things. So we are following God on this one. If you follow whatever, as long as you're doing it with the right intentions, then I support anybody who is adopting and trying to give children a home with the right intentions. So everything else aside, that is where that is at. And our children are super excited too. There was another recent little case that was a slim possibility, but it's months and months out. So I'm not going to say too much about that one. And we'll see if I'm able to in the future, that the kids were also excited about. Anyhow, I'm going to sign off now. I hope you guys are having a blessed day. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you want to see the rest of our adoption updates. And I will see you guys in the next one.